Before we run across this bridge right toward the people who've been dropping bombs on us, anyone want to talk about a plan B?
No.
Oh, yeah. We're on the bridge!
This finale felt risky at first, since it involved the players just moving in a straight line almost the entire time. We wondered whether the experience would feel rich and varied enough. However, given the fiction and fantasy of the space, we found players were constantly making small movement decisions that kept them interested and immersed, and our concerns about monotony fell away. In addition, while we originally designed it to require constantly moving forward, we found that different players have different comfort levels for moving and shooting. Some players just can't do both at the same time. So we tuned the director to adapt to different play styles, adjusting the pacing so that different players would still have a good sense of progress and be able to reach the end.
Stand down. Rich, identify yourself.
My name's Nick.
Game assets are more likely to make it through production if they serve the game on multiple levels. Take this bridge ramp, for example. Movement-wise, it acts as the starting gate. Audio-wise, it acts as the starting gun. Visually, it blocks and breaks up a potentially uninteresting view. Fictionally, the seizing malfunction and resulting loud bang make it clear that the players have attracted every infected on the bridge.
Be advised, the bridge is crawling with infected.
Okay, we're heading over now.
Good luck.
Well, let's cross the bridge and finally get out of this hell.
Let's move!
One of our most important tools for creating and evaluating environments was what we called the Left For Dictionary. This collectively developed set of terms, ideas, and gameplay grammar described spaces via their physical properties, functions to gameplay, and their relative advantage or disadvantage to the survivor or infected sides. This provided the team with a shared language for types of gameplay spaces, with examples such as capillary, close quarters, open space, funnel, king of the hill, etc. It also allowed the team to talk about and explore new permutations of spaces in a very clear way. The Left For Dictionary proved instrumental in allowing us to...
Most of the region where Left 4 Dead 2 is set is quite flat. There are few hills or changes in elevation, but maps without any elevation change can be monotonous both visually and in terms of gameplay. That's why this double-decker bridge was not only a visually strong set piece, it added the much-needed element of verticality to the campaign.
Everybody grab a weapon.
One of our most important tools for creating and evaluating environments was what we called the Left For Dictionary. This collectively developed set of terms, ideas, and gameplay grammar described spaces via their physical properties, functions to gameplay, and their relative advantage or disadvantage to the survivor or infected sides. This provided the team with a shared language for types of gameplay spaces, with examples such as capillary, close quarters, open space, funnel, king of the hill, etc. It also allowed the team to talk about and explore new permutations of spaces in a very clear way. The Left For Dictionary proved instrumental in allowing us to efficiently refine our environments and tune difficulty based on an understanding of how each type of space would influence the gameplay. It was especially useful in this bridge map, where we start with a very uniform bridge and instead of rooms, hallways, etc., we create desirable game spaces using vehicles and damaged portions of the structure.
Stormy weather effects give the director yet another way to influence gameplay by altering the player's sensory capacity. One goal of the weatherfacts is to draw the team together and put them in a defensive stance, such as taking refuge within a building. In this respect, weather is much like a crescendo event, but because it's entirely under director control, it can happen at any time, any place. The storm itself is created using a combination of particle effects, fog, tone mapping, local contrast, post-processing, DSP alterations, and sound effects. While technically a storm can strike in any environment, we chose to limit it to the Milltown campaign in order to provide a fictional background for the flooding of the maps. Thus, the storm is thematically tied to a new navigational challenge and creates a unique experience for that campaign.
The grenade launcher came about purely out of our desire to see more explosions and more zombies killed by explosions. We found that something interesting happened when we gave one of the 4 survivors a grenade launcher. They became more vulnerable to close-up attacks, and their teammates adjusted their strategy accordingly. A pattern emerged where one player would lob grenades from afar at approaching mobs, and the other players would clear off the stragglers when they got too close.
The new campaigns in Left 4 Dead 2 featured a great deal more water than in the original game. Therefore, it was a priority to improve our water rendering. One of the most important new pieces of technology enabled artists to paint water flow uniquely on each water surface. This allows us to make the water look like it's flowing in any direction we desire without any constraints. This not only looks better, it aids gameplay by subtly guiding the player where they need to go. As an example, in the swamp levels, the water usually appears to flow towards the end of the level. And water is far more convincing when you can actually see it flow around obstacles like trees and rocks.
Traditionally, players were connecting to our multiplayer games by selecting a server with available player slots from a very big list. Players might select a server by an appealing server name or network latency. This worked well for 24 or 32 player games, where many players could have a great experience even without tight cooperation with their teammates. But for Left 4 Dead franchise, a different approach was required. We wanted to build a group of 4 players who could start a campaign together, possibly as complete strangers, but quickly acquire the feeling of being a bonded team. Valve Matchmaking operates on a vast set of player statistics, from headshot percentages of friendly fire incidents to the likelihood of sharing a first aid kit with a wounded teammate. In the years since Left 4 Dead's release, our matchmaking system has undergone many changes, resulting in better player experience and longer average team playtime together. With the introduction of new team game modes, we now even measure performance of the entire team and do our best to provide the players with reliable teammates and worthy opponents. We continue to gather and analyze an abundance of statistical information from our real-world players and use that to improve our matchmaking system.
For Left 4 Dead 2, the Source Engine received many new features and optimizations that enable it to handle denser, higher resolution environments, effects, and characters. This gave us leeway to fit additional weapons, creatures, and larger environments into the same footprint as Left 4 Dead, while increasing the quality of each element across the board. Many of our particle effects now use several new techniques which at least double their visual resolution while requiring no additional memory. This has enabled us to create complex weather effects such as the heavy thunderstorms in the Hard Rain campaign. The new zombie horde is considerably more variable than that of the first game, with higher resolution meshes and skinning. Not only do the infected look better, but using a combinatorial meshing and shading system, there's over tenfold the number of variations possible in Left 4 Dead 2 while consuming no new memory. The environments also feature considerably more polygonal density than the first game. Many elements that would have been painted into a texture are now fully muffled in the environment. Foliage looks cleaner, while also responding naturally to weather conditions. Additionally, water has gotten a major visual upgrade over Left 4 Dead 1, with far superior lighting, reflections, and flow mapping. All these pieces come together to improve the visuals of the game while keeping it smooth to play.
The Source Engine uses 2 different methods for modeling world environments, a volume-based system for general forms and a polygon-based system for details. Each has its own advantages and disadvantages, and they must be integrated together to create a game map. One of the challenges associated with this setup is that the 2 systems have mostly separate authoring pipelines, and it's easy to make a change in one and break a tightly integrated set. As part of making the modular kit of parts that was used to create this bridge, we developed a new hybrid workflow that allows content authors to create and iteratively edit both types of world geometry simultaneously in a single tool. The resulting modules are pre-optimized Lego blocks that can be fitted together, allowing the level designer to focus more on gameplay and less on modeling.